Welcome back to the Infinite. Today I want to cover just a few things leading up to the pre-order of Apple Vision Pro, and then also invite you to join me at 5 a.m. Pacific time this Friday to pre-order the Apple Vision Pro. So let's dive right into this, shall we? Okay, first of all, Apple has dropped a newsroom post with some additional details about the Apple Vision Pro. Again, I'm really surprised that there hasn't been another event talking about the Vision Pro. And that kind of just goes into more questions of who is this being aimed at, why is Apple releasing right now, and why the price point, and also a lot of other whys. There's just a general question of who is the Apple Vision Pro aimed at? Who is it meant for? Obviously, it's meant for people like me who are going to purchase it regardless of having all of these questions and never having tried it. But beyond people like me who just order it because they want to try the latest Apple product, and beyond developers who also like me want to see how their apps will work on the Vision Pro beyond just the simulator that you can get through Xcode, I don't know who this is aimed at. But let's talk about some other topics that were talked about in Apple's newsroom article. First up, the keyboard. They mentioned the keyboard, but then Mark Gurman said on a post on Twitter that the keyboard is basically a wash for Vision OS 1. And whether that means that it won't be included or that it's just not very usable is left for us to determine, but I think that it means it's not going to be very usable. And honestly, this doesn't come as much of a surprise to me. I think that the primary input as far as text goes for the Apple Vision Pro is going to be your voice. It's very difficult to map a keyboard in the air without any tactile feedback. I think that it's something that Apple probably could add in the future and maybe use AI to kind of figure out where your fingers are going a little bit better. But if they don't have that already incorporated, I think that it would be a pretty bad experience to just be typing in the air on a keyboard that you see but you can't feel. It'd be difficult. The other input that I'm mostly going to be using with the Vision Pro is just a regular Bluetooth keyboard, right? I think that the main use that I'm going to have for the Vision Pro is using it to extend my Mac screen. So I'll have my trackpad, I'll have my keyboard, I'll have my mouse, but I probably will not be using the on-screen keyboard very much. Definitely the eye tracking and the tap to select makes sense. Keyboard pushing it. Okay, next up, and this is a really controversial announcement that has just came out, and I think for good reason. It is that the Apple Vision Pro at its starting price point of $34.99 will come with 256 gigabytes of storage. This, to me, is a huge blow. Every Mac I get it with at least a terabyte. If I'm gonna be editing video on my Mac, I need space. If I'm gonna be storing multiple code repositories that have large amounts of assets, I'm gonna need a lot of space. If I'm gonna be working with 3D objects, I'm gonna need a lot of space. Even on my iPad, 256 is the minimum that I would go. It's only on my phone that I would go down to 128, just because of the way that I use the devices. And so the Vision Pro being equipped with an M2 chip, meaning it's capable of a lot of the things that my Mac is capable of, but only coming with 256 gigabytes of storage for $3,500 is pretty wild. And that kind of brings up the question again of who is this aimed at? It's the Apple Vision Pro. If they had included a terabyte of storage, I think that it would have been a little bit more clear who this product was aimed at, or even 512 gigabytes. But 256 gigabytes of storage for the Apple Vision Pro that starts at $34.99 seems really wild, especially given the fact that it does not cost a lot of money to upgrade storage. Obviously, you can't do it on Apple products because it's Apple, but storage is not expensive at all. So for Apple to include, even 512 versus 256, to them would be nothing. And, even if they started at a price point of $100 more, it's like once it gets over the $3,000 range, it's basically just super expensive and ridiculously expensive, and you're not really counting how many hundreds you're at anymore. But coming with 256 basically means if you want to use it for some of those things I mentioned, you have to upgrade. I'm not going to be upgrading because I think it's really dumb. It's a pro product, and you should be able to get the base version and do everything that a pro would expect to be able to do on the device. So that brings up this why question. But what do you think? Leave your comments down below. Do you think 256 gigabytes is reasonable for a device like the Apple Vision Pro? What do you think the Apple Vision Pro is even meant for? Who is this meant for? Leave it all down in the comments. I'm really curious what you think. Okay, and last little piece that I wanted to touch on was that there are some apps that are announced to be shipping with the Vision Pro day one, and one of those is Disney Plus. Disney Plus will have a app specifically built for the Vision Pro. They've mentioned several different environments that you can watch Disney Plus shows and movies in, including the Avengers headquarters, Tatooine from Star Wars, the Scare Floor from Monsters Inc., and a few others. So you'll be able to watch movies in these environments, which is pretty cool because we saw this in the demo of the Vision Pro at WWDC. And it's cool that Disney Plus is actually delivering on this and it wasn't just a concept that'll never come to be. So pretty cool, and that's available day one. So that is the Apple Vision Pro. I'm really curious again to hear your thoughts down below if you think 256 gigabytes is a good amount of storage to start with on Apple Vision Pro for $3,500. And also I'm curious to hear your thoughts on who you think this is aimed at. Who is this product for beyond developers? And will you be getting one? Regardless, join with me Friday morning at 5 a.m. Pacific because I will be up to order the Vision Pro and I'll just live stream it on the channel. You have to have a device with Face ID on the Apple Store app to pre-order the Vision Pro. So I'm looking forward to doing the whole face scan or whatever it takes to go through the process of doing the Vision Pro, and I will walk you through the whole thing. I'm really curious to see how it'll go. We've never had something like this from Apple. So I'll see you on Friday. Peace.